Hey, Danny, I wanted to ask
Totally
you
agree.
about Drake May and North Carolina. Pat Narduzzi goes on a radio show and says not one but two different SEC programs offered him $5 million to transfer. Drake May talks to Pete Thamel of ESPN today and says that's just not true. That's not reality. No one's talked to me or my family, but does allow for someone may have talked to, I heard from a high school coach that someone reached out to them, or one of our representatives, someone may have reached out to them, but it's not like there was an official offer made for $5 million. But I think the issue with transfer portal and every year free agency in college football is that we hear that story, and to me, it's completely believable that an Alabama or Georgia would do that because Drake May wins them a national championship with their surrounding talent around him. So that's where we are in college football. I don't know that that's great for the sport, Danny. What did you make of that whole deal?
So I agree with everything you said. I don't think it's great for the sport. I do. So Pat Narduzzi's got a beef, right? I mean, he wants to air it out because last year he had Jordan Addison,
Yep.
who won the Fred Biletnikoff Award. He even lined up. I talked to him on my radio show a week before Jordan Addison entered the transfer portal, and I was like, "Hey, what's going on with Jordan Addison?" He's like, "Oh, we've secured some deals for him. He's going to stay here. He's going to be a Pitt Panther." A week before he announces. Now he gets, USC gets a better offer. He decides to leave. And Narduzzi, famously called Lincoln Riley, chewed him out, let him, whatever went on behind the closed doors happened. So Narduzzi was somebody who felt that pain firsthand of losing one of his best players. And so he's trying to bring light to it. Everybody is, because it is happening, and no one wants it to happen except for the players, because the players have all the leverage. Like, we've had this massive pendulum swing in college football and basketball, where for the last 50 years, the players had zero leverage. Like, they were stuck, and some of it was really ugly circumstances. Like, they couldn't transfer without sitting out a year, even if they did have sick relatives. They were restricted. Coaches were able to bounce. But instead of finding a middle ground, the pendulum has swung all the way to the other direction, where the players have all the leverage. They have more leverage and more power than NFL players do, because NFL players sign multi-year deals. They're under contract, and they can get fired, and lose that money. It's not guaranteed. These deals, you can take it for 1 year and you can enter the portal again in another one. If you've graduated, you can transfer multiple times without having to sit out a year. And the thing that's frustrating to coaches is they're used to, they don't like distractions. That's a word we always hear. But they also like structure. They want to have a plan in place. How do we build our roster? What are our needs? What are our, what positions do we need to fill? And if they don't even know if their starting quarterback is going to come back, in the case of Drake May, how do you plan who's going to recruit? How are you going to hit the portal? And it's very frustrating. That's why Jimbo Fisher went off yesterday. It's why Jeff Traylor at UTSA said he has he's got proof for the NCAA players trying to poach their teams trying to poach his players. It's a massive problem, and everyone's looking around complaining about it, and yet no one is coming up with solutions or like restrictions, because there does need to be some regulation on all this player movement.